What if I told you there's an AI assistant that can read your documents, help you write better, explain complicated topics, analyze information, assist with coding, research ideas, and even help you build things? And most people are still only using it like Google. That AI is Claude. And if you've opened Claude before, typed 1 or 2 questions and thought, okay, so what exactly am I supposed to do with this? This video is for you, because over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how Claude actually works, the most useful things you can do with it, the mistakes beginners make, and a simple prompting formula that can instantly improve the answers you get. And near the end, I'll also give you one prompt that you can copy and use immediately. So even if you've never used Claude before, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where to start. Let's begin. First, forget all the complicated AI terminology. Claude is basically an AI assistant created by Anthropic. You type what you want, and Claude tries to help you do it. That might sound simple, but here's where it gets interesting. Claude isn't only useful for asking questions like, what is artificial intelligence? You can give it an actual task.
Whoa,
for example,
hold on a second.
Imagine your boss sends you a huge report. You don't have time to read 50 pages. You could give that report to Claude and say, summarize this for me and tell me the 5 things I actually need to know. Or maybe you receive a confusing email. You could say, explain what this person actually wants from me. Or maybe you're learning something difficult. Instead of watching 10 different tutorials, you could ask Claude, explain this like I'm a complete beginner. And if it's still confusing, you simply say, make it even simpler. That's the first important idea. Claude becomes more useful when you stop treating it like a search engine and start treating it like an assistant.
Wow.
Now here's something beginners often get wrong. They type something like, write email, and then they're disappointed because the answer sounds generic. But Claude can't read your mind. The quality of your result depends heavily on the quality of your instruction. Compare these 2 prompts. First, write an email. Now compare that with, write a short, polite email to my manager asking for 2 days off next week because I have a family event. Make it professional, but friendly. Huge difference. Claude now knows who the email is for, why you're writing it, how long it should be, and how it should sound. Here's a very simple formula you can remember. Task, context, format, tone, task, what do you want? Context, what does Claude need to know? Format, how should the answer look? Tone, how should it sound? For example, explain compound interest to a complete beginner using one simple real-life example. Keep the explanation under 200 words and use a friendly tone. That is already much better than simply typing, explain compound interest. And this one habit alone can dramatically improve your results. Now let's look at something almost everyone can use. Writing. Imagine you need to send an important email. You write it yourself, read it again, delete half of it, rewrite it, and somehow it still sounds weird. Instead, paste it into Claude and say, rewrite this so it sounds confident, professional, and natural. Keep the original meaning. Done. But emails are only one example. Claude can help you brainstorm YouTube video ideas, blog posts, product descriptions, social media content, reports, presentations, scripts, headlines, and much more. But here's the trick. Don't say, make this better. Tell Claude what better means. For example, make this opening more attention-grabbing. Make this sound less robotic. Remove unnecessary words. Make this understandable to a 15-year-old. Give me 5 stronger alternatives. That is how you turn Claude from a basic text generator into something closer to an editor. And sometimes, the best way to use Claude isn't asking it to create something from zero. It's giving Claude your rough idea and asking it to improve it. Now this is where things become really useful. Imagine someone sends you a long PDF. Maybe it's a contract, a research paper, a business report, a course document, or just something painfully boring. Instead of manually searching through everything, you can upload the document and ask Claude questions about it. For example, give me the 5 most important points from this document, or explain this report in simple English, or what risks are mentioned here, or even, based only on this document, what questions should I ask before making a decision? And that last part is important. You don't always have to ask Claude for a summary. You can ask it to analyze the information. Imagine you upload several customer reviews. Instead of reading every review manually, you could ask, group these reviews into the most common complaints and tell me which problem appears most often. Now, Claude is helping you find patterns. That is much more valuable than simply generating text. Here's another powerful use. Learning. Let's say you want to learn Python. A beginner might type, "Teach me Python." But that's a massive topic. Claude has no idea where to begin. Try this instead. I'm completely new to Python. Teach me variables using a simple everyday example. Then give me one small exercise, but don't give me the answer until I try. Now Claude becomes interactive. It explains something. You try it, you get stuck, you ask another question, and it adapts. You can literally say, I still don't understand, or explain it using an analogy, or quiz me on what I just learned, or give me a harder example. This is one of my favorite ways to use AI because traditional learning usually gives everyone the same explanation. Claude can change the explanation based on what you understand. So whether you're learning coding, marketing, finance, AI, writing, or almost any other subject, don't just ask Claude for information. Ask it to teach you. Now you might be thinking, I'm not a programmer, so I probably won't use Claude for coding. Not necessarily. Even beginners can use it. For example, imagine you see some Python code online and have absolutely no idea what it does. Paste it into Claude and say, explain this code line by line as if I've never programmed before. Or maybe your code gives you an error. Paste the error and say, explain why this error is happening before you give me the fix. Notice that last part, before you give me the fix. That's important, because if you simply copy whatever AI gives you, you might solve the problem without learning anything. Instead ask, what caused the problem? Why does the solution work? Is there a simpler way to write this? That way, Claude becomes a coding teacher rather than just a code vending machine. And for more experienced developers, Claude can also help with larger coding tasks, debugging, planning, reviewing code, and thinking through software problems. Now imagine this. You're working on the same project every day. Maybe it's a YouTube channel, a business, a research project, or a software product. Every time you open a fresh chat, you type, here's what my project is about. Here's my audience. Here's my writing style. Here are the rules. Again, and again, and again. That gets annoying very quickly. This is where projects become useful. You can create a dedicated space around one area of work and give Claude relevant context. Imagine a YouTube project. You could give Claude your audience, your channel style, examples of previous videos, your content rules, and your ideas. Then, instead of explaining everything from scratch, you can work with Claude inside that context. For ongoing work, this can make Claude feel much more consistent. Think of a normal chat as asking someone a quick question. A project is closer to working with someone who already has your project folder open. Now this feature is a little different. Claude doesn't always have to give you plain text inside a chat. With artifacts, Claude can create things in a separate workspace. For example, you might ask it to help create a simple web page, a calculator, a visual diagram, a small interactive tool. or another structured piece of content. This matters because AI starts becoming less like, "Here's some advice," and more like, "Here's the thing you asked me to make." That's a big difference. For example, instead of asking, "How would a simple expense calculator work?" you could ask Claude to create one. Instead of only explaining the idea, you can interact with what it produces. And this idea goes even further. Sometimes you don't want an answer inside a chat. You want an actual deliverable, maybe a spreadsheet, a document, a presentation, or a report. So instead of saying, "Tell me what columns I should put in my spreadsheet," you can ask Claude to organize the information into a usable file. Imagine saying, "Create a simple monthly budget spreadsheet with categories for income, rent, food, transport, entertainment, savings, and total spending." That's much more useful than manually building everything yourself. The goal is simple. Whenever you use Claude, ask yourself, "Do I want information, or do I want an output I can actually use?" Because those are two different prompts. Claude can also help research topics and organize information. For example, imagine you're trying to compare 3 tools for your business. Instead of randomly opening dozens of tabs, you could ask Claude to help you research the options and organize the differences. You could ask, "Compare these tools based on price, beginner friendliness, main features, and who each one is best for." But here's something extremely important. AI can sound very confident, even when it gets something wrong. So don't confuse confidence with accuracy. For casual brainstorming? Fine. For important financial, legal, medical, academic, or business decisions, verify the important information. Claude is an assistant, not a replacement for your judgment. Now let's quickly cover 3 mistakes that can make Claude feel much worse than it actually is. Mistake number 1, being too vague. "Give me business ideas." That could mean almost anything. Instead, "Give me 5 online business ideas for a beginner with less than $500 to invest." Avoid ideas that require inventory. Much better. Mistake number 2, accepting the first answer. Claude gives you an answer. You don't like it, so you close the chat. Why? Tell it what's wrong. Too long. Too formal. Give me more original examples. Remove the technical language. AI becomes much more useful when you iterate. Mistake number 3, asking Claude to guess missing information. If important context is missing, give it the context. For example, instead of, "Write a YouTube script," say, "Write a 10-minute YouTube script for complete beginners." The audience is interested in AI but has little technical knowledge. Use simple examples, short sentences, and an energetic conversational tone. Now Claude knows what you're trying to achieve. Okay, as promised, here's a prompt you can actually copy and use. Imagine you want to learn artificial intelligence. Instead of saying, "Teach me AI," try this. "I'm a complete beginner learning artificial intelligence. Create a 7-day learning plan for me. I can study for 30 minutes each day. Teach me 1 important concept per day using simple language and a real-world example. At the end of each lesson, give me 1 small exercise to test my understanding." Look at how much information we gave Claude. Your level, your goal, your available time, the duration, the teaching style, and the output you want. That's why this prompt is likely to be much more useful. And remember the formula from earlier. Task, context, format, tone. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember that. Here's the biggest mistake people make with AI. They spend hours searching for the perfect prompt. But the real skill isn't memorizing 500 prompts from the internet. The real skill is being able to clearly explain, what do I want? What does Claude need to know? And what should the final result look like? Once you understand that, Claude becomes dramatically more useful. You can use it to learn faster, write faster. Understand information faster. Brainstorm ideas. Work with documents. Improve code. Research topics. And turn rough ideas into actual outputs. And the best way to learn Claude isn't watching another 20 tutorials. It's opening Claude, giving it one real task you actually need done, and experimenting. Because the more clearly you communicate with AI, the more useful AI becomes. If this video helped you understand Claude, subscribe, because on this channel, we break down AI tools and AI skills without making them unnecessarily complicated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.